Okay, thank you to everyone who's just joined. We'll just wait for a couple more people to log on and then we'll begin in about 30 seconds. Okay, we will begin now. Thank you to everybody for joining us today. For those who have not joined a Salesforce user group before, the purpose of these sessions are for Salesforce users to come and look at new features or look at apps that we think are relevant to what they might be what they might be doing in their businesses and what might be useful for them to use. Often these are attended by customers of ours, Comnexa, but also we realise we have a number of other people attending today as well who might not know who we are. So for those people, we are Salesforce implementation partners, specialising in setting up Salesforce and configuring it to your business needs, but also helping with things like reporting and helping you to get the best ROI on marketing and sales activities within your businesses. I'll be joined today by my colleague Dan Williams, who will be covering a lot of Salesforce updates, which we'll come to in a moment. We are also joined today by the team from DocuSign and David and Owen from their team. DocuSign are the market leaders in e-signature solutions, and crucially, DocuSign integrates with Salesforce. So we're delighted that the guys are joining us today to give an overview of DocuSign and how that works with Salesforce. Once they've finished, I say Dan from our team will be talking about the Salesforce winter release updates. For those of you who don't know, Salesforce put out 3 release updates a year, and each of these release updates includes several hundred features which make sure Salesforce is remaining competitive, remaining the most innovative solution, CRM solution on the market. Obviously, we don't expect a lot of our customers or Salesforce users to go through the various 100 release updates, and so we do that for you. We've gone through and found our favorites and actually considered what most of our customers need to use and what we think is most relevant to them. And so we'll be going through the highlights of those once DocuSign have presented. Also, if you are attending from Jersey, which is where Comnexa is headquartered, we're actually doing an in-person event this evening as well, which is a small networking session. And we're very fortunate that we're in a position where we are allowed to socially network at the moment. Obviously with the restrictions in Jersey not being as they are elsewhere in the world. So if you're attending from Jersey, do feel free to come and join us this evening at SoBar. So without further ado, I'm going to pass over to David and Owen from DocuSign. They're going to talk to us about how we can transform our sort of digital processes with signing capabilities from DocuSign. So David, I think I'm starting by passing over to you.
Thanks, Phil. And thanks, Dan and the team at Comnexa for giving us the opportunity to present. So an absolute pleasure, and thanks for everyone for joining the webinar. I know hopefully we're not cutting too much into your lunchtime. So I'm just going to share my screen. Okay. Right. So the purpose of today's session is really to go through DocuSign, but also DocuSign Agreement Cloud for Salesforce. As Phil rightly put it, we do have an out-of-the-box integration with Salesforce, and they're one of our major partners. I'm conscious some of you haven't used eSignature or DocuSign before, so I'm going to do a quick presentation as to the background around DocuSign, its benefits, but also how its benefits integrating into Salesforce as well. So I'm just going to quickly start with the fundamentals. So It's fair to say that businesses run on agreements. In every business, you see agreements there everywhere. So from sales departments to human resources to finance, this is a snapshot of all the list of agreements that you could potentially have within your business. So every company has what we call a system of agreements. So you're probably wondering what a system of agreement is. It's a collection of technologies, processes for preparing, signing, acting on, and managing all of your agreements. So what does that usually look like within your business today? Well, it can be quite a mess, right? So from preparing, signing, acting, and managing your business processes, we typically see businesses having to manually prepare and collaborate agreements before they send them out. That might be things like internal approvers, collaboration between different stakeholders, and that can be quite manual and inefficient. And then once you've prepared your agreement, then you typically send it to the client over email attachment or even through post. And then your client has to go off, print it, wet sign the agreement, scan it back, and then send it back to yourselves, right? And that can be quite time consuming and inefficient. And then once the agreement actually comes back to you, sometimes you might want to have to enter the information from the signed agreement into other systems and might have to kick off other processes. Again, we see that being very manual. And last but not least, once you have the agreement returned back to you, then typically you have to manually manage it and store it somewhere, whether that's a file cabinet or locally somewhere on your within your Salesforce CRM, and you have to manually upload that agreement. So quite frankly, this is not just built for the speed of doing business today, especially in a highly competitive and regulated industry like financial services. And this is costing your business, overall a bad customer experience. So I think in today's, especially in light of the current situation, there is, I suppose, that expectation from clients to have a better client experience and signing experience, and they expect things to be signed digitally and seamlessly on their mobile app, for example. We also see slow turnaround time. So if you're sending your agreements through post or even through email attachments, sometimes that can take close to a week or 2 weeks to get that signed agreement back to you. Of course, how many times have we seen as well, once you send out an agreement, it comes back to you with the wrong address or wrong information. And then you've got to go ahead and send that agreement again, which is more wasted time. In financial services, compliance is a big factor and is very important. So with DocuSign, we have an audit trail and full compliance that goes around the solution. And of course, with compliance comes risk of exposure, right? So this DocuSign decreases that risk that you have. So what's the solution for this? Everyone knows DocuSign is an e-signature solution, but what we've done is we've created the world's first agreement cloud. So an agreement cloud provides a single platform to prepare, sign, act on, and manage all your agreements all in a single platform. And not only is it on a single platform, we've also integrated with Salesforce. So as you can see here, we actually cover a suite of applications that covers the whole agreement lifecycle. So for example, we have DocuSign e-signature for Salesforce. We have DocuSign CLM, which covers the full lifecycle. We have DocuSign generation for Salesforce, which is very much the preparation of the agreements. And then last but not least, we also have DocuSign negotiation. Today, we'll show you DocuSign e-signature for Salesforce, and we'll also show you DocuSign Gen for Salesforce. But rest assured, we have a suite of solutions that covers the full agreement lifecycle, all native within Salesforce. So what that means for you in the business is that it's out of the box and there's no development work that needs to happen, okay? So it's all well and good to have a single platform, but what's the benefits of you integrating DocuSign into Salesforce? Well, first off, I mentioned it briefly earlier. If it's the use case like client onboarding forms, you want to ensure that those agreements are back to you in good time, but also in good order. So we've seen, a turnaround time reduced from a week to 2 weeks down to 1 or 2 days by using DocuSign. We also see reduced errors, and we also see a better overall client experience as well. So that's why DocuSign is the global standard for financial services organizations. So you can see a handful of big and small. We also have a number of customers already in the Channel Islands who use DocuSign for Salesforce. So we cater for both small and large financial services companies. Of course, in financial services, security is of utmost importance. So we abide to a number of ISOC and ISO 27001 industry standards. We operate at 4 nines. So, rest assured that your agreements are safe and are within our secure cloud. So we have data centers actually in our European data center ring out of Paris, Frankfurt, and Amsterdam. So what that means for you in the business is that you're GDPR compliant. And we also have the plan to open up a data center within the UK as Brexit approaches. And of course, once you purchase DocuSign, we don't just leave you there. We obviously want to ensure that you are up and running and successful with DocuSign. So we give you in partnership with Conexa, we give you the support and resources that you need to get you up and running and a quick go-to-market with DocuSign. So we actually give you the advisory and implementation services to help you deploy the right solutions. We also with DocuSign, we give you ongoing support. So we're there at your every need, and we offer chat, phone, and email support when you need it. Okay, well, thank you for your time, and Owen, I'll transfer it over to you.
Yeah, thanks very much, David. There's a good overview there. So like David said, what we're going to do for the webinar today is we're actually going to show you 2 different products that we offer for Salesforce, fully out of the box, fully integrated already, ready to go for you. Now, the example that we'll look at today is an example where we're utilizing DocuSign Gen and DocuSign eSignature for Salesforce from within the opportunity object. Now, both of these products can be integrated and placed onto either standard or custom objects. We're just using the standard opportunity object today. Now, the example that we have, I have a pre-filled record within our opportunity here. I have it linked to an account. I have specified that it is a new customer, specified things like the close date, added in product line items, and maybe even specified a contact related to the opportunity as well. So these are all pieces of information that we can either pull in to the document itself and have that kind of document seamlessly generated with dynamic content from Salesforce, or pull it into the DocuSign eSignature site and have things like our contacts, email automatically placed into the envelope as well. Now, to kick off the process with DocuSign Gen and to actually generate a document to begin with, we can click the Generate Sales Order button that I have here for us. Now, once I click the button, DocuSign Gen will then take over to determine which data needs to be pulled in from Salesforce and merged into our template. And what we'll do is we'll have the output document presented to us in a Word format. So with DocuSign Gen, we can generate in both Word documents if you want to maybe edit the documents once it's been generated, or potentially have it locked down as a PDF if you want to ensure that there's no further changes. But this document has been generated within one click, so it's really seamless, quick and easy to generate a document. We could download it, we can open it up in Microsoft Word and take a look at what has been generated for us. And like I said, it is a sales order. We've merged some information already into the beginning of the document. We've merged in the account details into the header of the page. We've included this introductory page about who we are as a business, given some overview. And as we scroll through, we'll see some further data points, again, seamlessly merged from within Salesforce. We see things like the account, shipping street populated here, the closed date of my opportunity, product line items included in a dynamic table. So if I was to go back into Salesforce, remove one of those product lines, that table will then dynamically resize. And as we scroll through, we also have a portion of where I actually want to get a signature on our sales order. So again, the data that we've merged from Salesforce is seamlessly merged across if I needed to. I could edit any of the information, I could change something if I needed to, and that's the beauty of Gen. It's a seamless merge. It looks like you manually prepared this agreement yourselves. But Gen can also get a bit more sophisticated as well. So if we were to return back to our opportunity, and if I maybe make a slight adjustment to this opportunity that I have here, and if I change the customer type on the left-hand side from a new customer to, say, an existing customer, and click Save, DocuSign Gen is clever enough to then change that output of a sales order. So we've specified in our template that if I click this button again and we have an existing customer, within the output of the document, we will not include the introductory page about our business because we're dealing with an existing customer. There's no need to tell them about who we are, how we do business. So we're going to get straight to the figures of what we're quoting them. So this document that's generated now has no introductory page. We're taken straight to the details. So Gen can have a dynamic output either done at the page level, like we've removed the full page here, or else maybe at the paragraph level, the clause level, and have different pieces of information change depending on the values within Salesforce. And that's what DocuSign Gen will give you. It'll allow you to really quickly generate some nice polished agreements. And both of those agreements you can see here that I've generated are attached within the files or the notes and attachments related to my opportunity. But now logically, what we'd like to do is we need to get that sales order sent out for signing. And what we do to get it sent out for signing is using the out of the box send with DocuSign button that includes the DE signature for Salesforce configuration. So to start the process, we go to send with DocuSign here. Like I said, the out of the box button. And what this does by default is it pulls in all of the files that we had to our opportunity. So remember, we generated 2 different documents. It pulls both of them in. We only want to send out one, so I'll delete or remove the other one. We've pulled in the default contact associated to the opportunity. So this is Owen Kavanagh in this case, and this will be our customer who needs to sign the document. And I'm also given some freedom to maybe edit the subject line or maybe add in an automatic reminder. If Owen hasn't signed it within a few days, DocuSign will automatically follow up and chase him to sign the document, removing the need to keep manually checking it. But what I can do is I can select next. DocuSign e-signature for Salesforce is now taking over. We've now taken that document from Salesforce, added it into DocuSign, and we'll also scan the document to see if it matches an e-signature template for us. So if we have a template already created in DocuSign, as a user, I'll be prompted to now apply that template. And once I apply the template, it may populate some DocuSign fields for me already onto the document. And like you can see here, I'm matching with 2 different templates. I have the option whatever route I want to take my demo, but we'll match with this template here. And we can see that it is 100% match. So when I click apply, we'll have a DocuSign e-signature template applied, and we can now have some fields presented to us on the document. So as I scroll through, we'll see that we'll have a text field populate here for an order number. And what we'll actually do with this field is we'll send it out with no information from Salesforce because there was no data populated in our order number field from Salesforce. But once our customer fills out the document and signs it and enters in maybe an order number or VAT number, we'll then automatically write back that data back into our Salesforce record. So that 2-way communication, eliminating the need to have a document open on one screen, have Salesforce open the other screen and trying to transfer data. With DocuSign for Salesforce, that data transfer can happen automatically. And as we scroll through, we'll also arrive at the signature area that we already seen earlier on, but now we have our DocuSign tags placed, so where someone will actually need to sign, where we'll put in the date of signature, etc. As you can see from the left-hand side, there's a lot of different options that you have through DocuSign. You can drag and drop as many or as little of these fields as you need to, place them in. It's intuitive, move them around if you need to, or simply remove them if not needed. But all I'm going to do in this case is hit send. And now this document will now be sent out to our customer or prospect to sign our sales order. Now, as a sender of the agreement or as a salesperson, whoever's sending out these sales orders, you notice that I haven't been taken to DocuSign.com. I haven't left Salesforce, and I'm actually being prompted to return back to the opportunity that I've originally sent it out from. And that's a beauty point with Salesforce and DocuSign is that you want to get the most out of Salesforce. You already have the subscription. So again, we're keeping people within the environment, not sending them to another platform. So when they return to the opportunity, they will be able to track the current status of the envelope as well, which is something that we see being quite key quite often. And we can see it on the right-hand side here through our DocuSign status window that the current envelope status is at sent. So again, we get real-time updates back into Salesforce. My customer has opened it, if they signed it, if they haven't signed it, etc. And what we do now is we'll take the perspective of our customer or prospect now, and they've got an email notification from DocuSign that they do have a document for their DocuSign signature. Now, when they click into the notification, it will likely be a branded experience. And in this case, what we did was we just mirrored Comnexa's branding. We popped in their logo, changed the color scheme of the email, and that's something that we see happen quite often through DocuSign. What you notice from a security perspective is that the document itself hasn't been sent via email. In order to access the document, you need to click the View Documents button here, where you take it to a secure DocuSign server to access, read, and fundamentally sign the agreement. Now, the agreement will load it for us here in the browser. Now, I'm using my desktop, like you can see on the Mac, or this could be on your mobile phone, could be on your tablet as well. Now, I can scroll through the agreement. I can read it up and down, or I can use the signing assistant on the left-hand side to take me straight to where the next required action point. The next required action point in this case is to fill out the order number field that I mentioned and have this data then be sent back to Salesforce. So I can enter in any information that I want here. We just quite simply press 1, 2, 3, and then continue throughout the document. So because I need to sign the document and because it's my first time using e-signature, I'll click once on the signature tag. Like I said, it's my first time, so I'll need to adopt and pick a signature. We help your signers out in the process by giving them a signature automatically based off of their full name. And this is what a preview of it looks like here. If they wanted to, they could also change the style of the signature, maybe to suit their own personal preference. They could also draw their own signature. So again, if they're using their phone, their mouse, or their trackpad, they could draw it, but they could also upload their own original signature. So if you wanted somebody to draw on a piece of paper, take a photo of it, upload it onto DocuSign, and then they could actually use that as their e-signature as well. But an important point to know at this stage is that it doesn't matter which option they choose, they're always equally legally binding. So the important factor with e-signature isn't necessarily the visual representation of a signature, it's the data points that we collect in the background that's creating the forensic picture of the signer. And we'll see some of those data points when we do finish the document, but just an important point. So you can pick any signature, click Adopt and Sign. He's now demonstrated his legal intent to sign the document. There's no other required fields that he needs to fill out. So you can click Finish. And now at this point, your customer will be asked, well, do you want to sign up for a free DocuSign account? And this is completely optional. Another important point being is that if you're just signing documents through DocuSign, you're not required to have a DocuSign account. So you can click No Thanks, and then we can actually redirect your signer anywhere you specify. So quite simply, again, for Comnexa, I've said once somebody signs, send them straight away to the home page of the website. That could be a customized landing page and create a better customer experience for them as well. In terms of our workflow, there was no counter signature. It's a very simple example. So that document is now complete. Your customer will get a completed document notification sent straight away through email. So you don't need to worry about carbon copies, forwarding them on anymore. They'll get the completed document that they can access through the link. They could download it, store for their own records, do whatever they choose to do. Back within Salesforce, we'll see a few things happen now when I refresh the page. First of all, we'll see that the DocuSign status will change from sent to completed because the envelope is fully completed, no other signers. We'll also influence this Salesforce opportunity to change from the negotiation or the 90% stage to closed won, and that's using Process Builder. So with DocuSign for Salesforce, you can also influence Salesforce fields or values to change based off of the document being signed. And then what we'll also see in our order number field here, which is originally blank when we sent it out, we'll also see 1, 2, 3 populate there. I'll refresh the page. All of this will happen for us. We'll see our status is now completed. Opportunity is influenced, closed won, and we have our order number populate with 1, 2, 3. So I suppose the key value being is that data is updated automatically. You've always got the source of truth updated regularly in Salesforce, whatever the customer's filled out for the VAT number, their address, that could be then automatically written back into Salesforce. And then the last thing that we see is that we've also included the completed documents sent back into Salesforce as well. So again, we can access our signed document through here, or also the certificate of completion, which is the legally binding aspect of an e-signature. So from a legal perspective, data that we're collecting is the IP address, how they've adopted their signature, timestamps that are relevant, and also any additional security that you may have included. So if you wanted to include like two-factor authentication with an SMS text message, even an ID verification check, that could also be included on the envelope as well. And then we'll also include some data points related to that. So this is your certificate of completion, essentially the court admissible side of a DocuSign signature, and that is a legally binding aspect of DocuSign. But from a demo perspective, I hope that was helpful and to give you a bit of an overview of the platform, its capabilities with DocuSign Gen, DocuSign e-signature. But what I'll do is I'll pass you back to the guys that come next to them to touch on the updates on Salesforce.
So thanks very much to Owen and David for that excellent overview of DocuSign. I'm Dan from Comnetsa, by the way, so I lead our business solutions team, and I'll be going through the winter release updates. If you have any questions about DocuSign, either below or above, depending on which device you're using, there will be a Q&A or a comments button. If you want to leave any questions in there, either about DocuSign or about what I'm going to talk about, and then at the end of the session, we'll address any questions that anybody has. So feel very welcome to do that. So as we said, I am Dan from Comnetsa, and I'm going to be talking through the winter release updates. So as Phil explained briefly earlier, Salesforce release 3 versions of the platform every year. So unlike other technologies where you're on a version and then you have to upgrade, it's quite laborious. With Salesforce, you're always on the latest version. And this is really good because 3 times a year, you're getting hundreds of new features and innovations upgraded automatically. So there's actually no effort needed on your side to upgrade. So first of all, before I go through the winter release updates, I sort of wanted to talk you through how we'd find out when your Salesforce will be upgraded and where you can find out information about these upgrades. So there's a website called trust.salesforce.com. And this is a really important website because this is where any Salesforce service notification will appear. It's also where you can see if there's any maintenance scheduled for your Salesforce system, or as we call it, your Salesforce org. So I'm actually just going to show you a quick demo of this, if that's okay. So we have the website here, trust.salesforce.com. So whenever you think there might be something happening or you're noticing an issue, Salesforce are very into transparency and very into trust. So what this means is that any issues that are identified, any updates, anything that's happening on the Salesforce platform is posted on this website. And this is actually extremely useful for other things as well. So if we scroll down, first of all, we can understand all of the compliance and Salesforce's security policies, if anybody wanted to know that. And then if we scroll down, we're presented with a list of every single system that sits on the Salesforce platform. So for today, I'm going to find out when our Sales and Service Cloud, which is the CRM part of Salesforce, is going to be upgraded to the winter release. So if I hit status here, I'm immediately taken to a page where I can see any ongoing issues that Salesforce are having, and I can see any ongoing maintenance. But I need to type in my instance. So Salesforce have hundreds of servers around the world in different locations. And depending on where you are or what you've requested, your Salesforce is hosted in that version. So we need to find out which instance we're on. So to find this out, if we're in Salesforce and we go to Setup, and then we type in company information, and then we hit company information, we're taken to a page here. This is a demo environment which we use when we demo to people quite often. And here we can view all the information about our Salesforce org, in this instance, our demo environment. And here we can see our edition of Salesforce. And then here we can see the instance that we're hosted on. So this demo version is hosted in NA, which means North America. Quite a lot of our customers will be EU because it's hosted within the European Union. So our demo org here is hosted on NA80. This is really useful because we go back to trust.salesforce.com and we type NA80 into the search bar. Hopefully what's going to appear, which it has, is our Salesforce instance. So if we click here, this gives us all the information about our Salesforce product and the Salesforce platform, which we're hosted in. So here we can see that everything's all right. So that's great. If there were any issues, they show up here instantly, so we know what's happening. If we hit on history, here we can actually see a very transparent history of everything that's happened with our Salesforce instance. So here we can see that on the 25th of September, if you're using Einstein bots, which is a sort of like live chat AI sort of tool that Salesforce has, if we hit here, we can see that there was a little bit of an issue that lasted for 14 minutes. And here Salesforce are very transparent and they say what the issue was, when it was resolved, and then the root cause of the issue. Going back to how we find out what's going to go on without this org, if we hit on the maintenance button, here we can see a list of all the maintenance that's been scheduled. So we can see which maintenance has been completed, and we can see which maintenance has been scheduled to come up. So here we can see that our org will be upgraded on the 17th of October at 7 AM BST. And we can see when this is scheduled. If we click here, we can also see information about what's going to happen. So here we have the planned start time and the planned end time. Unlike other technologies, which sometimes maybe take days or weeks to upgrade, the Salesforce upgrade window actually takes about 120 seconds usually. So your Salesforce org will be offline for 180 seconds, 120 to 180 seconds. It will be upgraded, and then it'll be available for everybody. Very impressive, I think. So here's where you can find out when we will be upgraded, which I think is very important to cover. Before I go into our favorite updates, there's also a page on the Salesforce website called releasenotes.docs.salesforce.com. This is a little bit long, so after this event, we'll be sending a follow-up email to everybody, and in this follow-up email, there will be this link. This website lists all the new features across all the Salesforce products which are available as part of each release. So essentially 3 times a year on this website, we will see, it will update and we will see what's coming. And then these are all different Salesforce products. And this is all the innovation and releases which are coming out. So I thought before I go into some of the top releases, I thought I'd just show you how you can understand which version of Salesforce you're on, and then where you can go to find out the complete information, because we haven't actually demonstrated this before in any of the events that we've done. So I think that's really important. So now let's stick back to our presentation. And I've picked out 12 releases which I think people might find interesting. First of all, if you've attended one of our early user groups, you will know that Salesforce launched a new product called Work.com. Work.com is a product for essentially getting you back to the office. So it will allow you to do things like track who's in the office, track where people are seated, issue tickets for people to enter a lift, various things. And in the winter release, Work.com has been further developed. So it now includes features like contact tracing. So if we have people in an office and we need to perform contact tracing, we can actually use Salesforce to do all of this for us. We can also send employees daily wellness surveys. So we're asking employees how they're doing. And then if any issues are identified, we can use Salesforce as a platform to proactively monitor what's going on with our team. So I just wanted to point out that Work.com has been further developed from when we first spoke about it. Salesforce have also further developed Work.com. I'm not sure whether it would be relevant for anybody on this call, but I thought I'd just point out that Work.com now has a vaccine management module. So essentially, government organizations and bodies are able to use Salesforce as a platform for managing vaccine rollout. So when, hopefully soon, there is a vaccine, Salesforce have developed a product using the CRM platform for people to actually manage vaccines, manage the deployment, have people book in to go and receive their vaccine, and all of this can be managed on the Salesforce platform. Obviously, I'm quite biased, but I think it's really incredible how quickly Salesforce have been able to adapt to the platform for users with the current situation. So Work.com has received a lot of attention during the last few months and as part of the winter release. Moving on to things which might be more useful to you in a business point of view, we have a product within Salesforce called Salesforce Flows. So those of you who have done some Salesforce admin will know that in Salesforce, we have Salesforce Workflows, we have Salesforce Process Builder, and in the past few years, we now have Salesforce Flows. And all of these 3 things are methods in which we can automate business processes. So we can trigger things to happen automatically, and we can automate processes. In the winter release, Salesforce have further developed flows, and they further developed the visualization of flows. It seems like Salesforce are going to be focusing a lot of effort on flows as the automation part of Salesforce moving forward. So we think it's very important to raise that flows seem to be getting all of the attention. So if you're looking to create some new automation, or you're talking to us about creating new automation in Salesforce, we're going to recommend that we use flows to do this, because we think flows are much better positioned, and moving forward, they will receive much more development attention, and will therefore have more features and will be able to better automate your business processes. With flows, you can trigger certain things to happen. Salesforce have added the ability in the winter release to trigger an automation to happen when a record is deleted. This is quite a big thing, because previously in Salesforce, we couldn't trigger any automation when a record is deleted. But now we can trigger things to happen when a record is deleted. So for example, if somebody deletes a record, we may want to send a notification email to somebody, or we may want something in Salesforce to happen. With the winter release, this is now completely possible, whereas previously it wasn't possible. As part of the winter release and also development efforts in the past few months, Salesforce have developed a product called Salesforce Anywhere, which you may have seen published. Essentially, Salesforce Anywhere allows you to integrate Zoom and Teams into Salesforce. So with the current situation, and you're having people working remotely, we can now essentially use Salesforce as a collaboration tool. And if we're on a sales call or on a call about records in Salesforce, we can actually bring this tool into Salesforce, and we can see where people are looking, we can see who's in the record, and we can use Salesforce Anywhere as a very collaborative way of working. Salesforce Anywhere is currently in beta testing and is available for free to anyone who wishes to try it. If you wish to try it, please let us know, and we can apply you or enroll you into the beta scheme. There also, as part of the winter release, has been quite a lot of development on Microsoft Teams integration. So we know that a lot of people are using Microsoft Teams with their teams working remotely for collaboration purposes, but collaborating on work. Salesforce have developed out a Microsoft Team integration. This is actually in what we call alpha testing, but this is available if anyone wants to try it out. So if you wish to try it out, please let us know, and we can enroll you in the Salesforce program. I'd highly recommend, if you are using Teams or Zoom, and you are having teams working remotely and you want to improve your collaboration, that you check these features out. If you've attended our previous events, you will have known that a few releases ago, Salesforce released Salesforce Surveys. So Salesforce Surveys is a native survey application tool within Salesforce. It's really cool because it allows us to trigger things out, and we can then record feedback within records. Salesforce Surveys have received a lot of attention in the past few months, and also in the upcoming winter release. There were a number of things that you couldn't do with Salesforce Surveys. So we couldn't really, as an example, tailor if somebody hits bad here. We probably then want to ask, why was your experience bad? We couldn't do that previously, but with the winter release, we can. We can also, sort of related to the previous point, we can add what we call branching logic into surveys. So again, if somebody says something was bad or good, we can ask them a follow-up question specifically related to their feedback. So it's important to note that Salesforce Surveys are receiving a lot of attention at the moment from Salesforce, and we can only see that in the next few releases, the features will further be developed out. If you have Sales Cloud or Service Cloud CRM, Salesforce Surveys is actually included for free. You have up to 100 survey responses for free, and then you have to purchase additional survey responses if you're sending out lots of surveys. But essentially, you can turn this on, or we can help you turn it on, and you can start using it for free with what you already have. So it's very important to note. This is quite a nice one. So I know a lot of our customers certainly use the Kanban view. So if we have an opportunity funnel pipeline, and we have different stages. We can see where deals are within our pipeline. As part of the winter release, Salesforce are adding these really nice functions. So if somebody's recently changed an opportunity, so if somebody's put the price up, or they've pushed the date backwards or forwards, or they've changed the stage, this change will be reflected within the Kanban view. And when we hover over it, we'll also see who's changed it. So if somebody's put an opportunity significantly cheaper, that will flag up, and then you can go and see who's done that. But you can do it all within this Kanban view. Previously, you would have had to have clicked on the opportunity and hoped that you turn on field tracking to be able to do that. So this is really really neat, quite minor, but we love it. I know a number of people who are attending this webinar also use Salesforce Pardot. Previously, Salesforce Pardot and Salesforce were two separate platforms with an integration between the two. So your teams would log into Pardot and they'd log into Salesforce. Your marketing team could do what they wanted to do in Pardot, and everyone else do Salesforce, and everybody was generally really happy. What Salesforce have decided to do as part of the winter release is actually start to bring these two products into the Salesforce platform. The idea being that your marketing teams will not need to live in Pardot, and they will live in Salesforce. So this has been quite a common theme in the past few months, and I can only see it continuing even more into the future. So moving forward from the winter release, you'll be able to build your Pardot emails within Salesforce with what we call the Salesforce email builder. Previously, there was a Pardot email builder, there was a Salesforce email builder, they were different. Now they're being brought together. So it's quite good, brings a lot of commonality, very good for user training, generally very good. So that's good. You'll also be able to send emails from Salesforce, but using Pardot. So if you wanted to send a Pardot email previously, you'd have to log into Pardot and go through the send process. Now, all your emails will actually show in Salesforce as Salesforce records, and we'll be able to see all the stats and report on them in Salesforce, which is quite incredible. Further to that, your users will actually be able to send emails from Salesforce, but using Pardot. So the days of having to log into Pardot, the days of having to set up a campaign in Salesforce, sync it with Pardot, then log into Pardot, build the email, send the email out, are sort of ending. And this will all be completed on the single Salesforce platform. So if you haven't already, I'd highly recommend, if you do use Pardot, to read up more about how Pardot and Salesforce are integrating and to try and use it to improve your marketing and business efficiencies. If you need any help, we can obviously help you with doing this, and we'd be delighted to. So those were my 12 high-level features in the winter release. We will email you a follow-up email using Salesforce after this event with some information and also a link to the full notes. But that sort of leads us on to Q&A. So I don't know if anyone's asked any questions yet. Let's have a look. No, we don't seem to have any questions at the moment. But we do have a chat post. So Rich from my team in the chat has posted the link to the release notes if anyone was interested. Does anyone have any questions about anything we've spoken about? Please feel free to post them and we'll answer them if we can. While we're waiting for a question, we've also live streamed this on our YouTube channel, which means we will have a recording of this event, and we will also share a recording. So if you had any colleagues who couldn't attend, or you want to find out how amazing DocuSign and Salesforce is, you'll be able to replay all of that afterwards. I don't think we're going to have any questions. So I guess if no one has any questions, I just have to say thank you very much for attending this event. We hope to run a few virtual events in the future. We'll be collaborating with DocuSign because we have many mutual customers, and helping them with Salesforce is very important and making sure they're successful. So if anyone wants to learn more, please get in touch, and we'd be very, very happy to share the any information that you need with you. So with that, I guess, thank you everyone for attending. If you're in Jersey, feel free to join us for a drink afterwards at 5:30 at Sobar. But have a nice day, everyone. Thanks very much.